The Nintendo Switch is home to a huge assortment of incredible action-adventure games where you go on grand adventures, have incredible characters, amazing story plots, interesting locations, inventory systems. Action-adventure games have been the staple of the gaming industry for decades now. And in this video, we're going to be counting down the top 10. Now, before we get into it, please make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you're someone new, and click that notification bell to get my videos first. Now let's go ahead and jump right into it. And we're starting off at number 10, and that is Red Dead Redemption plus Undead Nightmare. Now, I know there's been a lot of discussion about this game when it comes to the price and if it's worth it and not enough upgrades. But for the Nintendo Switch, this is an incredible, well done version of the game. Now, I haven't had a chance to beat the game yet, but I've played a number of hours on the Nintendo Switch in addition to playing the original game on the Xbox 360, and it is a much better version that you can play anywhere that you want, that comes included with a fantastic DLC expansion. All of that content packed into there with the classic Rockstar humor and great story and just depth. I actually really like Red Dead Redemption. I'm not a huge Rockstar fan when it comes to GTA and everything, but Red Dead Redemption is a game that I played a lot on the Xbox 360, and it's even better here on the Nintendo Switch, especially playing on a portable Nintendo Switch OLED. But once again, this game is incredible. It's got some really good gameplay hooks, a lot of different missions you can do. The controls are a little bit weird, but once you get used to it, it's no problem at all. It feels better to me to play when it comes to the input and response timing than a game like Red Dead Redemption 2 on the Xbox and PlayStation. So I do love what they've done here. Coming in at number 9, Luigi's Mansion 3. Now, this game is interesting because it's kind of a hybrid between puzzle and action and adventure and all sorts of things. You've got some really cool different item management that you can do, different upgrades that you can get, multiple different levels of the mansion, different type of things that you do within it. You have combat as well, and it's also got an assortment of other gameplay modes and online and local multiplayer and mini games. It's a pretty well-rounded action adventure package, but for the base game itself, Luigi's Mansion is fantastic. I think that it has some of the best graphics when it comes to the Nintendo Switch just overall in general. The music is very moody and atmospheric for what it does. Not my favorite, but it still works really well. But the best thing about this game by far is just how smooth everything operates and some of the charm that the game has. As you play it, and it's a lot longer than I would have thought it would be, but as you play the game, you just kind of realize these little things here and there, whether you're exploring or fighting a boss battle. It was a ton of fun to play through this game, and it's an incredibly worthy Switch outing. I can't wait to see what Next Level Games does next. Number 8, Kirby and the Forgotten Land. Now, this game is once again another hybrid. It's action, it's adventure, it's platforming, it's all kind of mixed into there, but Kirby has a wide array of power-ups, and that's the best thing about this game. The level design and the power-ups. The music is fantastic, the graphics are good, frame rate 30 frames per second, but very stable and good input response timing. And I think that timing combined with the power-ups and what you get in the game just make it so much fun to play. But they've crafted, I think, a better moving game. And what I mean by that is that the moving parts, when it comes to the action parts of the game, the boss battles, the replay value, the different levels, all of that really shines in comparison to the platforming or in comparison to some of the other things that Kirby games do really well. I think that they did a better job with the combat in this game than all of the previous Kirby games. Just the way that the levels are laid out, where enemies are placed, and your combat challenges. So I really do think Kirby and the Forgotten Land is a great action adventure game. I think it's a ton of fun to play through with yourself, or if you have somebody else, you can play co-op as well. So I highly recommend Kirby and the Forgotten Land. I do think it's one of the best action adventure platformer hybrid type of games that you can get on the Nintendo Switch. Coming in at number 7, Hollow Knight from Team Cherry. Now, Hollow Knight, it's interesting where people will classify this game. It's 2D Metroidvania, indie style game, action game, adventure game, some RPG elements here and there. I mean, it's kind of all over the place, but I think that any opportunity that you have to put Hollow Knight on a list, you put it on the list. 90 plus rated on Metacritic, incredible atmosphere, great story that's better than you would think, minimalist but still really good, tons of content, fantastic controls, great replay value, phenomenal frame rate. When it comes to the 60 frames, you feel every single bit of it. There is great atmosphere with the dodging and the weapons and the upgrades and what you do throughout this game. I love the boss design as well. The level and boss design in Hollow Knight is just so cool, and like you feel like you're really entrenched in this crazy little adventure with this weird looking dude. But Hollow Knight, number of years old on the Nintendo Switch, but they knew their audience and they knew what they were going for, and it was a hit. They sold a lot of copies of Hollow Knight on the Nintendo Switch, and we're still all waiting for Hollow Knight Silksong as of the time that I'm recording this video, and that game's probably going to be better than Hollow Knight. So Hollow Knight, still one of the best action adventure games, highly recommend it on the Nintendo Switch. Great portable play, even though it's a number of years old, still looks incredibly good on the Switch OLED. Next up at number 6, Bayonetta 3. And Bayonetta 3 to me is one of those games, and I'm going to be completely honest with you guys, I kind of let some other people get in my head about the game before I really played through all of it. And yes, the game does not have the smoothest combat when it comes to the series on the Nintendo Switch, or the best frame rate, absolutely. But when it comes to the pure action, when I stopped, replayed the game, and went through with a clear head when it comes to playing Bayonetta 3, this game does so many cool things over other action games. Some really unique things that actually no other game on the Nintendo Switch, or really no other action game that I have seen on even other platforms, has done. The Demon Slave mechanic is absolutely phenomenal. And yes, it can cause some issues maybe with the frame rate here or there, or maybe overall with the structure of the game or what they were trying to do. But when you start upgrading that Demon Slave and you start combining it with Bayonetta's own skills, and you really get into a mix of using Bayonetta and then using the Demon Slaves and then switching up your weapon sets, it becomes a combat system that is just unrivaled on the Nintendo Switch, with complexity and just grandiose, just how crazy it is. There's no other action combat system on the Switch like Bayonetta 3. Now, there's some pitfalls in other places, which definitely gets it lower on my list, but it's still an incredible package and one of the best pure action games on the Nintendo Switch. Love all the extra content. They've got some really cool genre, and you can play as Viola stages. You can kind of mix things up a bit, and everything's included on the package here. I think that's part of what makes a great action game a great action game. Everything is there. There's no extra DLC. It all comes packaged there for you to play and enjoy. So Bayonetta 3 makes it the number 6 on my list. Coming in at number 5 is Ori and the Will of the Wisp, and honestly the Ori and the Blind Forest game as well. These two as a double pack on the Nintendo Switch are two of the finest action, adventure, puzzle, platformer, whatever you want to mix it all into games, but I see them as action adventure games. And the reason why they're so great is, one, visually it's stunning. It doesn't have to have the most polygons or be the highest graphics intensity. All it's about is how it's displayed and how it is on your eyes. Some of the most visually pleasing atmospheres ever. So that already builds a really good adventure mood. You feel like exploring, you feel like traveling through these different places, you feel like being part of the world. And then on top of that, you have the action part of it. You have the adventure, which we covered. You have the action to where the combat plays into part, the unique elements, what Ori can do, and exactly how you traverse, fight, and get through the boss battles in this epic adventure game. So it's one of those things, to me at least, Ori and the Will of the Wisp, Ori and the Blind Forest are two of just the finest games that you can play on the Nintendo Switch, regardless of the genre. But as an action adventure game, it's really hard to see that many games that are as good as this title. Metroidvania adventure parts of this game are also really good. You'll be going through finding little secrets here and there, and the combat is so fluid and fun to get into once you upgrade and fully get a lot of your different abilities that you can get in the game. So Ori and the Will of the Wisps, Ori and the Blind Forest, absolutely deserves the 5th spot on my list. Number 4, Metroid Dread. Now, this game definitely could have been higher on the list. Metroid Dread is absolutely incredible. Action, adventure, Metroidvania, right? If we're going to use some slang terms, even though it's the Metroid game that birthed the whole Metroidvania along with Castlevania, adding what Metroid did. There's a lot of different stuff that you can classify when it comes to action adventure games and everything, but Metroid Dread fits that mold. It fits that prototype. What makes it amazing? Well, pretty much everything in this game is amazing. Outside of the music, that's not so amazing. But the gameplay is solid. The upgrades are incredible. The graphics are great. The level design is impeccable. The shooting is airtight. The controls feel like butter. Everything is great in this game. And you can actually wall flip without having issues, which is awesome. And the fact that this game has so many different varied locations and boss battles, you'll always feel like there's some way or somehow you can get something done better in the game until you master it with all the extra modes and everything that they have in there. I feel that the combat really evolves as you play and as you get new abilities and how you get different things in the game. You feel more and more powerful, but at the same time you feel at any point it could all be ended by the enemies in the game. So it's one of those things, as an action adventure, kind of horror a little bit, it just really ticks all the boxes. It checks everything for an incredible action adventure in terms of what you need, with the great controls, with the varied gameplay, the inventory, items, all of that, characters, everything is all set up. And man, that ending is one of a kind. So you definitely have to play Metroid Dread if you have not. And that's why it's number 4 on the list. Coming in at number 3, Bayonetta 1+2, the double pack from Nintendo, SEGA, and Platinum Games. And I know maybe this is a little bit of a cop-out. I had Bayonetta 3 at number 6, and I didn't want to include multiple games from the same franchises so we can have a nice and varied list. But I had to put this up here at number 3 because I think that the Bayonetta 1+2 double pack is so well done. And Bayonetta 2 in particular, with all of the things in that game, I still think that's one of the best, if not the best, pure action game from a controls and inventory and combat complexity standpoint, but with ease of use. Bayonetta 2 is still probably the best pure action, stylish action game of all time, in my opinion. Now, there's other factors, right? You got to factor in the story, you got to factor in the music, you got to factor in everything else. But from a pure gameplay combat system standpoint, Bayonetta 2 is just incredible. And in this package, you get Bayonetta 1, which is also really good and well done and improved on the Nintendo Switch over the Wii U. But then you also get Bayonetta 2 with all of the cool added DLC, the online, that's still going. Everything's all included in there. The Nintendo costumes, it is a great package. And once again, Platinum Games proves why they're pretty much the kings and queens of the action genre, because Bayonetta 1 and 2 is just so good, silky smooth, great graphics, still hold up very well today when it comes to the graphics in the game. Super smooth, 60 frames per second with some dips here and there, but for the most part, when it comes to the input response and timing, it is still great. Still one of the best that I've played. Heck, I want to go back and play it again after just talking about it right here. But Bayonetta 1 and 2, because of everything that I just said, how awesome this game is, makes it number 3 on the list. Number 2, Astral Chain from Platinum once again and Nintendo. Now, Astral Chain, it's one of those games to where, yes, in terms of smoothest action gameplay, not quite as good as Bayonetta 1 and 2 like I talked about with the 60 frames. But why Astral Chain is a bit above? One, because it's a brand new game built specifically for the Nintendo Switch, with the Switch in mind. But 2, they went above and beyond when it comes to the mechanics to create a truly innovative game to where you feel like you have a 5-man or 6-man party all built into one, with the different legions that you have that all have their own skill trees, different weapon sets, different equipment, and stuff that you can armor up and do. I feel like there's always something that you can tweak or change up to do better, do more damage, do other things in the game. But how the adventure and the action kind of mars together and the structure of the game is just impeccable. It's so well done and it's incredibly fun to play. I think that the upgrades combined with how you fight in the game and how the adventure kind of plays out, it just creates, once again, a euphoria that I have not experienced with this type of action adventure. This is kind of an RPG as well, kind of all mixed in together. It's kind of hard to nail down exactly the action adventure in terms of the game, because there's a lot of shades of different types of games and DNA of different stuff here and there. But at the end of the day, it starts at the nucleus of the action game and then the adventure that you go on and the inventory and the items and everything. And Astral Chain does this so well that I actually had to put it at number 2. It's a game that all of you guys should go out there and check out if you haven't already purchased it. It is phenomenal. And coming in at number 1, The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. This game is interesting because it's kind of like a hidden RPG at times. There's a lot of RPG mechanics. Some people even classify it as that. Nintendo does have it as like a subcategory. Most people don't see it as an RPG and see it more as an adventure game or an action adventure game. And that's kind of how I see the game. But with Tears of the Kingdom, it's blended it a little bit more than in years past. But I think that what makes this an incredible and the best action adventure game is that it's by far probably the most impressive game in terms of what it purely does in game. Ultra Hand and Fuse completely changed the way, along with what Breath of the Wild did, building on top, that completely changed the way that you navigate, traverse, that you go about in this open world. It is completely custom. You can kind of go at your own pace. You can explore different areas. The adventure in this game and the sheer amount of items and combinations and weapons and things that you can do truly shows that everybody is going to have a completely different playthrough in terms of how they solve things or how they do things at a variety of different points within their adventure. It's like the Zelda Minecraft that's not going all the way Minecraft, but taking a lot of those elements. And when you create an action adventure game, or when you're trying to create that type of freedom is probably the most important. And Zelda gives you that in spades with this type of action adventure hybrid game. Obviously, it's got great graphics, it's got fantastic weapons, it's got really cool boss battles, it's got a great story. Some people don't think so, but I like it. So there are just so many things in this game that just make it the pinnacle of action adventure games, combined with being able to climb anywhere, being able to see anything and go to that place. It is the ultimate action adventure game on the Nintendo Switch with everything that you can do. Heck, I still want to go back even after putting 130 hours plus. I want to go and get all the shrines. I want to go and do everything. And that is the mark of an incredible action adventure game. So that is my list for my top 10 action adventure games on the Nintendo Switch. There were a lot of games that I left out that I think you guys can fill in the gaps. So let me know, what are your top 10 Nintendo Switch action adventure games? What did I leave off the list? Do my games even deserve to be on the list? Let me know in the comment section below. I will be looking through. Thank you guys so much for watching. I do appreciate it. Please make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you're someone new, click that notification bell, and check out my other top lists on the Nintendo Switch right here on screen, like my top 25 Nintendo Switch games, top 25 underrated must-buy games, and more. Thank you for watching. We'll catch you for the next one. Peace.